Just like old times. Gotta love New York City.
Hey, I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
Hey, it's cool, guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
That is true. You could make it here in the American Ninja Warrior contest. They film in our New York street. Now, if you look off to our right, down the street there, you will see into Courthouse Square, which is where Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2 were filmed. A lot of things have used our Courthouse Square. Gremlins, The Ghost Whisperer, Marvel's Agent Carter made it look like 1940s Los Angeles. Saving Mr. Banks made it look like Australia. Now, if you look down this street, you will get a glimpse into our Brownstone Street down there, which was used by Billie Eilish in her 2021 Amazon Prime Day special. They made it look like Paris. Kevin McAllister hung out there in Home Alone 2. Even Jim Carrey lived there in Bruce Almighty. It is a beautiful street. Now, most of these buildings are facades. We just build what you will see from the outside with a camera. And if we want to film interior scenes, we head on back to our sound stages. So if you were to go inside of these buildings, you would see wood beams, steel girders. It wouldn't be very exciting inside. But the outside sure look good. The outside sure does look good. Now, right parallel to us is our New York street where American Ninja Warrior had their obstacle course. But we've also had two different Spider-Man slinging webs down New York Street. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were both there. Captain America was there. For Captain America First Avenger, he chased a bad guy down New York Street. We also had Brooklyn Nine-Nine's series finale filmed on New York Street. They had a character jump off the top of one of those buildings onto an armored vehicle. Even Dirty Harry felt lucky on New York Street. I feel lucky too, I don't blame him. Now, New York Street has looked like New York many times over the years, but it has also been other cities in the world. For instance, for Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, they made it look like the streets of London, and they had a big car chase down the center of New York Street. Now, they filmed most of that film on location in London, but they came here for the car chase because it was a lot safer to do it in a controlled environment. That's a little lesson we learned from the 1970s when we were not as into safety. In fact, there's a movie called The French Connection starring Gene Hackman as Popeye Doyle. They filmed on the streets of New York, and there's an iconic car chase that happens right there. It's very exciting. It was cutting edge, but they filmed it sort of guerrilla style. They didn't get all of the permits that they needed. They didn't exactly shut down New York as well as they could have. So some of the things that happen in that car chase that make it so exciting are real things. They're real citizens of New York who just happen to be out driving, going to get groceries, just wandered into the middle of a car chase, and they kept it in the movie because it was exciting. But we've learned a lot from that, and we tend to do things with a little more safety in mind these days, which is why Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw came here to film that scene. Now, the Blues Brothers also came here for a scene where they dropped a car into a hole on the street. Even though they filmed a lot of that film on location in Chicago, they came here for the car scene because you can't dig up the streets of Chicago. People get mad at you. You don't want to make people in Chicago mad. They're tough. They have to be tough to get through those winters. So it was much easier to do it right there on our New York street. That's where it all happened. Now we're going to take you out of our concrete jungle. It is time to visit the real jungle. In fact, here is award-winning director Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up on the edge. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
Now, I'm just going to remind everybody to please remain seated and hold on tight to those belongings because things can get bumpy on Skull Island. This is also a good time to turn off the flash on those cell phones and cameras.
We really put a lot of thought into